Okay. Good morning again. Daniel Valdez again. Another one of these things. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. Let's get to it. Bands of America Midland Regional coming up this weekend. This is a pretty interesting regional as far as the 8 or 10 Texas BOA regionals go. This is probably the most diverse set of programs that are going to this event. And we'll talk about that in just a second. So let's get to it. BOA Midland Regional, October 14th, 2017, at Grande Communications Stadium in Midland, Texas. Folks, this is a big stadium. This is a big stadium. This is West Texas. If you think football is big in your neck of the woods, go to a football game on a Friday night in West Texas, and they'll show you how big football is in this massive state of ours. Big stadium holds I don't even know how many it holds, like 12, 15,000 people, something like that. It's actually part of a sports complex. So you got your minor league baseball team that plays in a baseball stadium on one side of the complex, and then you have this big stadium that, this big football stadium. They use it for soccer too and all that stuff. So there should be plenty of room to move around, plenty of parking, all that fun stuff. By the way, parking's free at this event. Gotta love it. Good stuff there. Now I got that stuff out of the way. Let's talk a little bit about the programs that'll be there. When I'm talking diversity in a marching contest, I'm not talking just about the style of show that's going to be there. You got representatives from Texas, you got representatives from New Mexico, you got a representative from Nebraska coming to the Midland Regional. That's fantastic. I love that. I wish that would happen more often. Midland seems to be, and I hope this is the case, Midland's, I hope, will continue to be at that venue. Of course, there are a lot of logistical things. There's lots of stuff behind the scenes that has to happen for a BOA Regional to take place at a certain venue for a number of years. A lot of stuff can go haywire. There's all sorts of stuff that, that sort of stuff happens. So it seems to be a central location for your West Texas programs that maybe don't necessarily get to participate in a BOA event as often as they would like to. And plus you got New Mexico there. Oklahoma's not too far from there. You got a program from Nebraska coming up here. And hopefully they're able to get a couple of Colorado bands in the near future. I am thrilled that this regional's back in West Texas. I'm thrilled. We haven't had a West Texas regional in about 10 years, and even then it was spotty. It was spotty locations in the El Paso area. So I'll give you a very, very brief, quick history of the West Texas regional and why it's back here. The number one reason why it's back here is because there's a demand here. There's a demand in West Texas for programs. Okay, if we're gonna put a regional out in the middle of West Texas, our program's going to show up. And as of right now, the 23 programs that are going to be there. That's pretty decent for having this regional in the middle of West Texas. As anybody who's driven out there several times in the past, there's not much out there in terms of stuff to look at and, stuff to see. So it's good that they're starting off on the right foot. Hopefully the event goes well and that, programs will continue to be there. Putting the regional in El Paso, and keep in mind this is like 15 years ago, BOA always seemed to have a little bit of trouble securing a facility out in the El Paso area. And then when they did, the only Texas programs that would show up to the El Paso regional would be, the El Paso programs. That would be it. Now you would get programs from, Arizona and Colorado, New Mexico, because it's not too far there. It's not too far of a drive for those programs. But still, it's a Texas regional, and you're only getting one pocket of programs from that state. Then when they took the West Texas regional away, back in the early 2000s, the El Paso programs and They just decided to go off. There were regionals in Arizona, there were regionals in Utah, California, and then a couple of programs would go there every other year. And you got to keep in mind about the massive geographic disadvantage that El Paso has. The distance from El Paso to Houston is practically the same distance from El Paso to the Pacific Ocean. So why am I going to take a trip all the way across the state to go to Houston when I can take a trip all the way across the country to California? I can go to a regional there. I can make a week trip out of it. Maybe go do some sightseeing or something like that. It was just more appetizing for them. But now it's back in Midland. Now you've got a little diversity. You got programs coming from across state lines. You got programs coming from South Texas, South Central Texas. You got a couple of programs coming from the Dallas area, which is great. I love it. So let's talk about these programs real quick. Bellevue West, Bellevue, Nebraska. I think they're from Bellevue, Nebraska. I hope I got that right. Bellevue West Band. They're going on first at 9:15 in the morning. Gosh, I would love to go to a regional that started at 9:15 in the morning. I would absolutely love that. Unfortunately, the regionals I attend are that's usually not the case. 9:15 a.m. Bellevue West, Nebraska. Good little program out of Nebraska. I hope everything's okay with that program. A little bit of a breaking news story here. About a day or two ago, their head band director was let out of their contract. There's some issues going on there. I don't know what the details are. I'm not privy to that information. And details are very, very scarce coming out of the school district there. So essentially, they've been working with their assistant band director for pretty much the entire school year, or the marching season, I guess you could say. So I wish you guys luck this regional. I hope your trip's safe down here, and I hope everything's okay with that program. Del Rio High School coming up. Made finals over there at the McAllen Regional. This is a program with a big sound. I love it. I used to visit Del Rio every now and then, with my stepdad being in the military. Sherman's coming down. A little bit of a drive for them, but this is a good program. Barely missed finals at the BOA Atlanta Regional last year. Barely missed it. These guys can play pretty well. So good luck to them. Berkner will be here. Love it. Always been a big Berkner fan. Let's talk about Seguin High School for a second, because they are probably the feel-good story of the year. And if you're not privy to this, and if you don't know anything about the program, that's okay. Here's all you need to know about the program. A month ago, when Hurricane Harvey came through and destroyed half of southeast Texas, one of the programs affected was Rockport Fulton High School. You probably saw one of the images, one of the striking images, as the hurricane hit landfall in the Corpus Christi area. Rockport Fulton's gym, I believe, was damaged pretty heavily. The band was affected as well. The football team, Rockport Fulton, had a game against Glenn High School, the same Glenn High School in Leander. And I think it was supposed to be a home game, and I'm sorry if I got that wrong, but it was supposed to be a home game for Rockport Fulton. Obviously, they weren't able to make that happen. So I believe the two programs decided to meet over in Seguin, kind of a halfway point. But even though the football team for Rockport Fulton could make it, the band program unfortunately could not. Then steps in the Seguin Matador Band, the heroes of the marching season this year. They are the Texas heroes of the marching season this year. Here's why. Their band director got together with the band boosters and said, hey, we got to do something about this. We got to help. How can we help? The Seguin Band learned not only the fight song and school song for the Rockport and Fulton Band, they also learned some of the stand tunes so that the football team can hear that stuff during their game in Seguin against a team from Leander. He said it was done on a voluntary basis. He said there were about 215 kids in the program. He said between about 150 and 200 people showed up. And keep in mind, the SATs were the next morning. So yeah, you had a couple of kids that wanted to rest up, and because the SATs are a big thing. But on a completely voluntary basis. He said it was completely voluntary. Whoever shows up, great. We'll learn the music, and we're going to play for these kids. We're going to play for these guys. We're going to play for the parents. We're going to play for the community. And they did it. Nobody told them to do that. Nobody forced them to learn those tunes on a voluntary basis. But they did. Because it's the right thing to do. Seguin High School has had a long history of making Bands of America regionals, long history of competing at state. It's a very good program for a very long time. They had some down years in the recent past, but they've gotten better and better as the last couple, 4 or 5 years have gone on. Then you add this, like, oh, by the way, these are some of the best humanitarians in the world learning music that they don't have to learn at all, but they did it. I hope Seguin High School makes finals. And I hope they kick butt in finals. Because they deserve it. Way to go for what you did for that community, Seguin High School. Way to go, Matador Band. Keep it up. CTJ, Claudia Taylor Johnson. Champions of the BOA Austin Regional are coming to this event. This is going to be such a treat for the crowd. They might have one of my favorite shows of the year. Just because the music's so positive and it's so... I don't know, it's just... It feels like it's so out there, but these are tunes that being not only a band nerd, I have tons and tons of music from drum corps that I listen to all the time. It's such a cool show. It's going to be such a treat, not only for the people in the stands, but also the students as well. Like I said, you're getting some programs here that don't necessarily compete in the BOA regionals very often. And I think that's going to be a huge party when Claudia Taylor Johnson gets on the field and rocks the house. I can't wait to see what they're going to bring to the table this weekend. Timber Creek, another Keller ISD school kicking butt this year. Louisville ISD, Leander ISD, Keller ISD. Don't forget about these Keller programs. Timber Creek, very nice showing at the South Lake Regional. Doing pretty well this season. Love that show. So I hope these guys can keep up the momentum and perform pretty well here at the Midland Regional. I'm really hoping this regional goes well, because this could mean big things for the West Texas region. You know, a regional goes out there, and you're thinking, okay, you know, is this going to inspire people? Is this going to get more programs to compete in this sort of venue? And a lot of programs don't like to compete in Bands of America Regional. That's the truth. But hopefully these programs will continue to come back to the West Texas Regional. Hopefully the West Texas Regional is still a thing in a couple of years. I would love to see more programs from out of state participate. It's going to be a great regional. Yes, we are covering it. Live.txbands.com. Live.txbands.com. You can watch the event at home in the comfort of your own couch or home or whatever. Flowmarching.com. Get a subscription. Sign up. You get all the regionals, and you can flip back and forth if there are multiple regionals going on at the same time. We do that all the time here at the mothership, I guess you could say. Mothership is essentially my living room, whatever. I think I'm done here. Get out to Midland. Be safe getting out there. Enjoy the event. Like I said, live.txbands.com. We got you covered. Thank you all for listening. Take care. Adios. Bye-bye.